a nest of vipers in this next Alliance Tournament 12 match. And we've got, as Backline said before the match started here, just between us, a match of firsts. There is a lot of first times in this tournament so far. First Navy Dominix, first Ishtars, first Celestis and Flycatcher, first Paladins, first Garmers. These are two pretty cool setups. It's pretty interesting to see what they're going to be doing with it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about them, Backline?
Well, yeah, the Nest of Vipers team has turned out with a Paladin, 3 Tengus, Scimitar, Talwar, 2 Garmers, and a Kestrel. So they have quite a strong support wing. We were discussing also earlier the fact that there's almost a 2 different team setup. The Paladin kind of on its own, and the rest of the team plays a kitey role. And meanwhile, the TNT team has showed up with the 2 Navy Dummies, Scimitar, Ishtar, 2 Vexor Navies, Celestis, and Flycatcher. And I really were discussing the Flycatcher being an effective anti-support ship, but against 3 frigates and a Talwar, that's probably not the best matchup for a Flycatcher. So he's going to need help from those Vexors.
And the match has begun, and actually bad news for TNT. Already the first damp symbol has appeared on your screen, and it's appeared on the Celestis. So that means that one of the frigates for Nest of Vipers was able to actually outlock that Celestis, get damps on it before it could get damps on the other team. And that's one of the great advantages of using frigates for damping as opposed to the cruisers, is that when the frigates win that lock war, they prevent the cruisers from actually applying their damps at all.
Damage going down on Talwar and the Ishtar, but that's something we were discussing as well, is also the lack of, maybe they were short pilots. Why do you put so many points in one pilot into a Celestis when you can bring, say, 3 Mollis or carries or whatever it may be? So, and that's a disadvantage right there. You have all your E-War on one ship.
Yeah.
So.
They have now applied their damps, but only to one of the Tengus. That's not going to make a gigantic difference. As we see, there you go, the Kestrel going down, so knocking down one of the frigates. That probably the Flycatcher played a pretty big part of that. And if they can pick off these Garmers and Talwar as well, then that's going to really help them reduce some of this mobile damage that the Nest of Vipers team is bringing.
Yeah, the Flycatcher is really under fire here, and got knocked all the way to structure, but the Scimitar managed to get reps back on, and really, it's the difference between the support war right now is he, I guess, try to kite away to get a little bit of range. Tengu of Johnny Tomala taking an enormous amount of damage, actually. He's at shields already very, very quickly. And meanwhile, Oxygen O2's Ishtar is about half shields as well.
Yeah, I said before this match that this felt like it was two different teams for the Nest of Vipers, where they had the Paladin and the mobile missile team. But the mobile missile team is not being mobile. They're just staying around the Paladin. They're not actually taking advantage of the fact that they can act in a completely different way than the Paladin is. And that, I think, is really hurting them. They're staying at a place where they know they're taking damage from these bouncers that have been dropped by TNT. Why not get somewhere else? Get in closer, because the Navy Dominixes don't have the tracking bonus like the normal Dominixes. Get further away because they don't have the optimal bonus, although the fall off kind of helps with that. There's all these things they could be doing, but instead they're just sitting around essentially orbiting their Paladin.
It makes me wonder if they're perhaps the Tengu's A-B fit. I mean, I feel like I recognize the subs on this. With MWD, you can get going pretty fast with this, but they're going about 1100. Meanwhile, Ishtar goes down there. We have the first Tengu, however, and he is off the field. So we trade an Ishtar for a Tengu, which I don't think is an advantageous trade for Nest of Vipers there. And their second Tengu is still kind of struggling in shields there.
Yeah, I mean, if these Tengus keep dropping, that's going to be very, very bad news for them. The Tengu that's taking fire is actually the one that's further away. They have one Tengu that's gotten in right up close and is basically just orbiting at much closer range to the other team. And he, so far, has been able to keep himself alive pretty effectively. It doesn't look like these bouncers are hitting him all that well. But the Navy Dominis are burning right towards him. So we've got 2 Navy Dominis have turned on their micro-warp drives and are going to try to get tackle on this Tengu. It's a pretty impressive sight to behold, these 2 big battleships bearing down on a cruiser.
Yeah, and the Cassius Invictus Paladin now has decided to target Shimozu Shinta and the Dominix Navy issue. You can see his lasers starting to strip the shields down. And, you know, lasers being very effective against a shield tank, especially on a Dominix Navy, which doesn't have inherently high shield resistances. They may be a good choice of tactic there.
Yeah, I mean he's not going down too quickly, but he's going down slowly and surely. So if they can take him down before they lose Bars and the Tengu, then they might be in decent shape. But that being said, Bars is tackled completely. He's got these 2 Navy Dominis. These Dominis are blaster fit. That's the big advantage a Navy Domini has as opposed to normal Dominix. The Navy Domini has a big damage bonus to guns as well as the drone bonus. It actually is more similar to what the Dominix used to be years ago, and just deals an incredible amount of damage.
See, this is where the support war needs to be won. What I think Nest of Vipers need to be doing right now is taking advantage of the fact the Scimitar is busy keeping that Dominic's Navy issue up. Go for that Flycatcher. It looks like they're starting to do that. But if you shred that Flycatcher, you start to stress the Scimitar. Does the Scimitar have to make a choice? Does he rep the Flycatcher or the Navy Dummy, or try to do both? That Tengu of Bars 13 now into armor, however, so that may be a little too late for that tactic. Dominic's Navy issue of Shimozu Shinta is holding at half shields, half armor for Bars 13, dropping and dropping farther and farther into towards structure. Tiny little bits of shield coming back. There he is into structure. One more fire and he'll be down.
There
he
goes.
Down.
Yeah, and Shimozu in his Dominic's Navy issue is holding on. I'm seeing active shield boosting from him. It's likely he has an ASB as well as having the Scimitar for logistics. So he's actually tanking quite well. You don't usually hear about Navy Dommies being great shield tankers, but it does the job in a small team environment like this.
Oh, there goes the Celestis getting some of those damps off the field. Flycatcher amazingly still holding on, taking damage, but alive. The Talwar now looking like he's about to bleed structures. Scimitar going to work on him. And now a Garmer, half shields. We may see the first of these explode. That would be fantastic. Shiny little frigates. There goes the Talwar. Vexor Navy issue of Shaz taking some shield damage now. That looks like the Nest of Vipers team are really trying to probe and see if they can break through onto one of these TNT ships.
Yeah, if they can kill off these Vexor Navy issues, that'll help reduce the damage quite a bit. VNIs do quite a lot of damage for the points, but they're also very vulnerable, both in that their drones can be stripped off them quite easily. They don't have extra drone bay, and also they don't have a ton of hit points. So they make a good target in a lot of these matches. That being said, though, if they can't break the Navy Dommies, like the Navy Dommies have proven that they can take all the damage Nest of Vipers can throw at them, that's not going to be good for the long term. The only way Nest of Vipers can win this match is if the Paladin essentially out-tanks and manages to win them on points. But if it can't kill the Navy Dommies, it's not going to do that.
It looks like Ronan Farina is under heavy fire now as well. He's starting to lose shields. I'm going to test his tank, see his ASB cycles. Gosh, I think he cycled that just a little bit early. When you boost all the way back to 100%, it's likely that you're actually wasting some of that boost, and it's better wait a little bit longer. Flycatcher of Papusa now, his shields are almost gone, and he's really only structured after that. Probably no damage control, so maybe one volley from something solid. Shas Vexor Navy issue under fire from the Paladin. It's still holding on to his shields. The Scimitar's doing a good job of keeping him alive.
Yeah, Paposa's, wow, he got another rep of shields in from the Scimitar, so he's holding on fine. He loses a bit of structure and then comes back. These Garmers are doing their very best to kill him, but so far unsuccessfully.
The drones from the dummies, it looks like the Ogre 2s have reached that Paladin. The dummies are bearing down on him, closing in. Have newt supplied, it appears, and that Paladin is starting to struggle. He's taking good chunks of damage. Shas Vexor Navy issue also into half armor. Papusa's still fighting. You got a little bit more structure gone, but the shield's still coming back in.
You see that Paladin there, he's repping up almost half of his armor in one burst when he does get the reps off, probably with an ancillary armor repair. There he goes. But once that runs out of charges, it's going to rep a lot less than it would normally. So that's going to probably allow those Dommies the ability to kill it, because they're up right close now. They're doing all their damage with blasters and with drones all at the same time.
Yeah, the Vexor Navy for Shaz now into low structure. Garmer holding at half shields for Ibanez M. And Papusa finally succumbs after a very long struggle. Vexor Navy issue goes down along with him, and Cassis Invictus is back to 100% armor. Meanwhile, Tengu of Johnny Tamala back taking some damage. They're trying to probe to see if they can get through him. Right, and another Garmer taking damage.
You know what's kind of amazing? We've talked about all of these ships exploding. The point values right now are exactly even. At the moment, both teams have exactly 37 points.
We got to be about 2 minutes?
We have 2 minutes and 6 seconds left. Honestly, this match will likely go to time, so it does now come down to who is going to be able to win that points war. Now we're under 2 minutes. The Vexor Navy of Jaggerjack taking some damage. And interestingly, TNT has decided to just give up on shooting the Paladin.
Yeah, I mean, that is an interesting choice because, like you said, once he's out of charges, he's in trouble there. They're now going for the Scimitar instead of Johnny Tamala. Let's see if maybe they can break Ronan Farina down. He is taking more shield damage. I'm maybe going to try to pronounce Mr. Jones there's name in the Vexor Navy issue, but he's taking significant damage. Scimitar's holding up, but it seems like he's losing a little bit more every cycle. The Garmer from Mandragora Terra now taking a little bit of damage. Who knows? There's kind of damage going all over the place, just trying to stress out these lodges to see if they can break through.
what we have here is, once again, the two Dami Navy issues are chasing after a Tengu. And you would expect the Tengu to be able to run away with this no problem, but the Damis are gaining. These Damis are shield tanked, they're micro warp drive fit, and they're going just over 1,000 meters a second, while the Tengu is actually going significantly less than that. It just broke up 1,000 now, but it was running at like 500, 600. I think this is a 100 MN afterburner Tengu that was on a turn and started taking some damage because he allowed these Navy Damis to get in close.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen them break 1,200. It was the first time I've seen it break 1,200. Now he's up 1,240. But really, that's just not fast for what I would expect out of that Tengu. Vexor Navy holding up. What happened to the Paladin there?
The Paladin exploded due to a boundary violation.
Wow.
I didn't even see. He must have had his micro jump drive on.
He was at full armor.
Wow. So that was what was an incredibly close match that was tied on points, and we would have seen go to fast tie-dye, is now completely swung because the Nest of Vipers Paladin decided to launch himself out beyond the edge of glory.
Right at about 30 seconds, really no time left for the one Tengu and two Garmers to do anything about it. There's no way to break the Dami Navy.
Time is now up. And so that is it. TNT wins. I wasn't even watching that Paladin because he wasn't being shot at all, so I don't know what he was thinking there or exactly what he was trying to do, but he did go directly away from the fight. Maybe, I don't know. I have no idea what he was doing. He went in the opposite direction of the way I'd expect him to go, landed out of the arena, and that swung the match. So a very dramatic ending to that TNT versus Nest of Vipers match. We're going to send you to some more player ads and be back for the much anticipated the name I can't pronounce versus Camel Empire.